I'm Cleve Wells. Welcome to the HorseTrainingChannel.com. I'm here today with Katy Zuidema, and she's going to go over some things that she feels is very important in finishing the Western Pleasure horse, and whether she starts a horse and carries it to the show pen, or she gets a horse in training at some point in time, even that's been shown. These are some things that she goes back and makes sure that that this horse can do, because it's a very important part of her program, and something that she believes that every horse that her or her amateurs show, that they have to perform these maneuvers to go before they go to the show pen. So with that, Katy, thank you for being here, and we're going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Cleve. Well, one of the biggest things that I make the mistake of doing, and I see people doing, they get in the trap of working that circle in the middle of the pen, and then they have a hard time transitioning from the circle to the long straightaways. There really is no show pen that's round. So what we have to master is long straightaways and managing your corners to start your pleasure horse in the show pen. And I see it, horse trainers do it too, non-pros and amateurs as well. So what they do is they get here in the middle, you know, and they're always working that circle, and everything's good when you're going around. But then as soon as you go in a long straight line, let's get loped off here, stuff starts to happen. Now, of course, this horse is pretty horse trained, and so she's going to demonstrate, hopefully, the best case scenario. So for me, I like to get and do boxes, and I do boxes in the middle of the pen, and normally I'll start with my reins in two hands because it gives me a little better chance to work one side of the mouth versus another. And normally when I first start doing it, I'll put something like a correction bit or something in their mouth so I can work one side of their mouth or the other based on the horse and their issues. Just get started here. Okay, so we're going to go straight, and you got to make yourself go straight. And then when you get to your corner, take a hold and then get out. The hardest thing about the corner, and for people, is the getting out. And you have to make yourself go straight. And what people will do, there's a hole there, sorry. And what people will do is they will let their horse drift to the inside, even on their straight line. So on your straight line, your job is to get all the way out, put your hands down, and go on a drape with long, long reins, and force yourself to see what you have. And then when you get to your corner, grab a hold, go to your outside leg, and then get out. This does a couple things. This will help you get in on your horse and take a hold and steer and guide and manage them, and they have to slow down and come back to you. And then you have to get all the way out. And you have to ride that straight line all the way to your next corner. Whoa. And then you can back up and you can handle them. The biggest thing about doing this, and for me, all maneuvers, is maintaining slow hands and slow legs and keeping your pace even and the same. It's unrealistic to think that your horse will go around in a nice, even manner if you are horse training and doing exercises in an uneven manner, if that makes sense. So, lope off and go straight on a drape. And when you get to your corner, grab a hold, go to your outside leg, manage them, and then get all the way out. And use your legs on your straightaway to maintain your straight line. Grab a hold, outside leg, make her come back, get out. And it's the repetitive nature of this that will help you and your horse get better and better with every corner. Grab a hold, make her come back, and get out. It seems really simple, but when you first stop doing circles and you first start doing long straight lines, all of your problems and your holes in your horse training and your horse will reveal themselves very fast. Now, we're going to go like this. See, she stopped there a little bit. That's absolutely good. Work with her. When they start to drift, rather than going to your hand all the time, force yourself to use your leg. It's the best way to work on your buttons, so that when you apply this to the rail and you put your reins in one hand and you hit your corner, your horse, instead of diving down around that corner and accelerating, will slow down and come back to you. And you can go to your leg in your corners and she'll come back, or he, and will listen to your leg better. Whoa. It's also a great way to practice your buttons with your feet. I'm in a straightaway and I want to go faster. I just step on the gas, but I maintain my straight path. I do this with every horse, in every bridle, at every stage of horse training. It's almost, for me, a self-test as well, because just when you think that you have one horse trained and you're ready to show, you put your hand down and you go on that long straightaway and everything always seems to fall apart. So the best way to prepare for a long straightaway in a Western Pleasure Pen is to load boxes, and this works for any kind of rider and any kind of horse. You can do it in a snaffle, you can do it in a basel, and it forces you to steer, make your horse guide without diving. I can take this horse right here and I can go here and I can bend her, but because I've loped so many boxes, she's not going to dive, she's not going to overdo it. And she understands that although this is a trap, when I'm done, I'm going to let her out. They feel better about it. They don't panic about it. Whoa. And you really get in a really good rhythm with your horse. You can do it at the jog or the trot. Same idea. I like to practice my extended jog quite a bit. It teaches you how to guide there too. Straight, 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 turn. Straight, 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 turn. And the more broke your horse gets, the bigger your box can become, and the longer your lines can be. Whoa. I use boxes all the time. I use them to apply leg buttons. You can go in a straight line and grab a hold of one, and they start understanding the fundamentals of your inside leg a little forward and your outside leg a little back, works different body parts, and you can handle them around that corner.
Katy Jo, when and also as that horse gets broke, or what, and this is just my take on it too, you want to teach your horse where to be at the walk, trot, and lope as far as Western Pleasure, the fundamentals of the three gaits, but then we know the extended trot and the forward motion lope's coming. But as long as you teach those basic three gaits first and instill that in, and they get that confidence, then also what I'm seeing is you're able to teach that horse how to send out and come back.
Absolutely.
Because sending these horses out in today's world, they're going to have that.
Yep.
But the send out is no good if you don't have the comeback.
Right.
And you've got to have something, and so many people want to squeeze their horses to come back, and coming back is a lift and a draw. The misperception of squeeze and bring that horse's shoulders down and back.
Yeah, it's not down there, it's up in here and come back to you.
Right.
Right.
And maybe so that I understand too, make sure like with a little bit of timing, probably when you're doing that, I was kind of watching your foot, and like if you're loping to the right, every time that horse's right shoulder came up, that's kind of your time to act.
Yep.
Because it's a push and a lay. So I ride sometimes off the inside shoulder, but that happens so quick, that shoulder's a little quicker.
Absolutely.
So as that right shoulder comes up, that's where you make your move, but then you also got to let that horse back into the ground, make your move, go to the ground.
And for me, if you get one that'll give really good off your inside rein and they'll push away from your leg without accelerating, it really helps their front leg draw across the ground. I think if a person saw a bunch of my horses, if I marked them in any way, I think I marked them really good by making them draw their front leg across the ground, and I guarantee you it's because I loped so many boxes. It's the, give me here and guide and step around the corner and land without accelerating. The other thing about the boxes, like you said, it's hard to pass and keep your horse on a straight line. And let's face it, it's happened to all of us. You get out there and then you can't stay straight and you spend more time guiding than showing. So when you get your horse out there and you as a rider are comfortable using your leg buttons to keep him on that straight line rather than, you know, guiding him and trying to contain it here, it's really, really a big asset for me. I like to show out in the middle of the pen. I do the hunt seat horses and the Western horses, and I'm proud of them, and so I'm not afraid to get out there and pass and throw them down the middle, and it really helps me.
Another thing too, maybe when you start to make that turn, and we do this stuff so much sometimes that we don't think, but like when you make that turn, you want to make sure that you always put your body in the position in which you want your horse to follow. I mean, if you're sitting here straight and you mash that leg, but you're looking like you're going here, but you're mashing, it isn't going to work. If you want this shoulder to come around, you'll twist your hips a little bit and then and you ride with that front leg. Like you say, when you're going down the rail, if you look at that rail, you're going to go where you look. So you can't be mashing your horse and looking anywhere over here. If that saddle horn's the middle, you need to be looking off that right ear out here to keep that front leg going forward.
The absolute least you can do is ride the straight line. I tell my non-pros all the time, pick something at the end of the pen and ride to it. And if you ride out there, then your horse is going to cover the ground a little bit better.
Yeah, if you're riding here, looking at the rail, trying to find your next hole, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
No matter how much you put over here.
Because
if you're thinking it, you're leaning it, your horse is going to do it.
The other thing about the boxes that helps me as a horse trainer is it can be scary sometimes to put your hand down and ask for something different. But when you know mentally that all you have to do is keep your hand down until the next corner, it's really not nearly as scary. You know, and if you're really nervous about it, make your boxes small. You know, start and put your hand down. You have a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old that you've been working with, you know, and you got all the buttons, you got the hips and you got the shoulders and you got the face, but now you got to put it all together. And sometimes mentally it's easier to do that in a box because you can gather them and take them around that corner and then put your hands down and see what you got. And it's not nearly as scary to do it only from here to there as it is to go, oh my God, I have to go a whole entire circle.
Right. And another thing I would think you'd get out of this, Katie, would be a lot of people want to clean a horse up behind, drive a horse up behind, but the bottom line is you can't help a hawk till you get the front end of the horse out of the way. So when you get that horse up like you just showed, you get that front end up out of the way, this is going to clean itself up.
It has to. If they don't kick their hock and push off their outside hind leg, they're going to fall down.
So you might have to tweak it a touch.
But
if all your problem seems to be back here, it's probably, and especially people that get their horses too canted, that makes that hawk drive that way instead of through your knee up under the horse.
My rule of thumb is if you're going to work on driving and canting, this is just my rule of thumb. Make them put their outside hind leg underneath me. That's as far as I go, because to me that's where your power has to come from. And as soon as you knock a horse's balance off to such that their outside hind leg comes from, it goes past the point of being directly underneath of them, they can't push off it because it's just not formed to function. And so the thing about a box is, if you overcant them, they can't do they can't do it. There's a hole. Sorry. So if you're here, and I mean I can do it, I mean I can pass myself, and she's like, I don't want to. She doesn't want to do it. I can pass myself and get two sideways, but then I can't do this because essentially her hip's so kicked that it's not possible. So if you want to, you can kick one's hip over and then grab a hold of their front end and literally put it back in front of their hind end. She's not happy about being kicked sideways. You grab them, and notice every time I pick my hand up, she comes back to me and she gets a little hoppy, but her rhythm never changes. She comes with me. And if you are working your boxes and you get to your corners and they fall apart, that's something you need to identify with. That's a troubleshoot thing. They need to get off your leg and step through your hand. And those corners forces you to do that. See right here, she's getting hoppy on me. That's something I need to address. Nothing major, She's just mad at me still from kicking her hips so sideways. But just go back to being simple, you know, go back to don't push her so hard and get some rhythm back. It's not always perfect, and sometimes they're going to get mad at you, and that's just part of it. That's part of raising kids and training horses. Whoa.
Another thing that I see there, Katy, is it really slows those front feet down, and you want to kind of, to me, I'd sit there and I'd want to count those front feet.
Yep.
One, and at the lope I count every other stride, that way I don't get a push. You know, at the trot I can count every stride because it's 1, 2. It's kind of
Right,
got a little,
it's a 1, 2, 1, 2 snappy. Yep.
But the lope is 1, 2, because if I try to count every stride, I get a push. Well, but you want to be careful too that when you release, because you pay attention to counting those strides, then you make sure you don't get any slingshot out of it. If you just perform the maneuver and let them down, sometimes your horses will start yo-yoing you a little bit.
Exactly.
They'll draw and then they'll fall and they'll drop. So you want to make sure you get your draw, and they're going to drop back down because you've got them up a little too far.
They're supposed to.
Right. They got to drop down, but make sure they don't yo-yo you.
Right.
If they do, stop, back up.
Right. Absolutely. You know, if you let them out of the corner, after a while, the horse is going to start anticipating it. So if you let them out of the corner and they're starting to ki-eye to the next corner, knowing that you're going to take a hold of them, okay, get out of the box a little bit. You know, let's do a square, let them down, and as soon as they go da-da-da-da-da, then go ahead and do another corner. You know, there's no rules. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get into predict. You want to teach your horse through repetition. The hardest thing is teaching through repetition, but not being predictable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's tough right there. But if there might be a secret to horse training, that might be it. Is you have to repetition, but you can't be predictable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that's where every day you have to create a lesson.
I will tell you this, as an exhibitor, I'm not gifted, and I think I'm a good horse trainer, but I have to work really hard at getting my horses really horse trained so that I can handle all things that come to me in the show pen. And I can even maneuver my boxes. This horse show that we're at here has real long straightaways, and so it's an advantage to me. And I will work more of a rectangle, you know, and then I get to that corner and all I have to do, and I'm so mentally prepared for this, and so is my horse, I got to do a long straight line, and I got to get to my corner, and then I can go to my feet and I can regroup. And my horse knows I'm going to regroup, I know I'm going to regroup, and everything's okay. And it makes me better as an exhibitor, and it makes my horse a more confident exhibitor as well.
You know, you just did a thing right there, Katy, and I've got one amateur that I have to work on this a lot. But when Katy's talking about sending her horse, her thumb pointed forward.
Yeah, and right there.
I've got a person that wants to ride sideways, and I said, look, that little bit right there shuts your horse down.
Correct.
I said, your thumb, you need to look at your thumb and know where you're going at all times. I mean, you know, we as showmen, the better our horse gets, the more we run that thumb out there. Hey, take it, go. You can't twist your wrist and ride and guide your horse lateral in a forward motion. You've got to go to it.
Sure.
And you know, I watched this exercise, and it brings back when I used to ride a few reiners. Clint Haverty years ago, that's where he ran octagons on his reiners.
Yeah.
He taught them short straight lines, short turn. That kept that horse from just reaching out there and just grabbing too much ground.
Sure.
It was a little thing.
Right. Well, the problem with circles all the time too is it's a natural acceleration. I mean, it's form to function. We're going back to physics. So as soon as you get that horse out of the circle, you're already starting to help yourself. Even if it's harder, you're already starting to help yourself and break that cycle of acceleration. It's just like in the show pen, how many times have you seen that first long rail with your rider's really good and they get to the corner and it's like, yum, and then all of a sudden we're accelerating, you know? If you prepare your horse and your rider to handle and manage a corner, then they can come out of the corner better instead of faster.
Right. Yeah, because horses see that fence, and then, like I said, it's not they want to speed up. The horse really doesn't speed up. He slingshots himself.
Yeah, he can't help it. Yeah, the physics, absolutely.
He just slingshots it. Well, that's a great lesson, and I know I learned a lot, and I enjoyed visiting with you, and I wish we lived closer. We'd do a whole lot more.
Yeah, we would. You bet.
Maybe we'll get together with Katy. We'll catch Katy through the year a time or two, and we'll carry this on to some different exercises and a different level. And Katy, if somebody's got some questions or want to get in touch with you to do some things or some clinics or put a horse in training or anything, do some business, how can they get in touch with you?
Probably my email address would be the best way to do it.
Okay.
Zuidema PL horses, Zuidema Pleasure Horses at hotmail.com.
Perfect. Thanks again, Katy.
Yeah, thank you, Cleve. Thanks.